Paddle technology in 2025 isn't just evolving, it's exploding.
We're talking thermoformed edges, adaptive foam, smart cores, and every company claiming their paddle will instantly boost your spin, power, and touch.
But let's be honest, not all that glitters is graphite.
So the big question is, what's real innovation and what's just high-priced hype? After testing over 250 paddles this year, yes, we're obsessed. We've seen the gimmicks, we've felt the difference makers, and today we're breaking it all down.
From how the tech works to how it actually plays on the court, this is your 2025 Paddle Tech Deep Dive. Welcome to Pickleball Pantry. Let's get into it.
Let's start with where we came from, the evolution of pickleball paddles. Back in the early 2000s and 20s, most paddles were built with the same basic ingredients. Think of it like a sandwich. The core, or the inside of the paddle, was usually made of polymer honeycomb, a plastic grid that looked like a beehive. On top and bottom of that core were face materials like fiberglass or graphite. Everything was glued together and finished with an edge guard, a grip, and off you went to the courts. Now, fiberglass gave you a soft feel and lots of control, great for dinks and resets, but it didn't give you a ton of spin or power. Graphite, on the other hand, was stiffer and a little more poppy, think fast hands at the net, but less forgiving on miss hits. That was fine until players started demanding more spin, more control, more power, less vibration, more consistency across the paddle face, and that's when raw carbon fiber changed the game.
Raw carbon is a woven material with a natural grit to it. Imagine the feel of super fine sandpaper, not rough, but enough to grab the ball. That grab is what lets you generate more spin, especially on topspin rolls or cut serves. Suddenly, everyone, from weekend warriors to 5.0s, was switching to raw carbon paddles. Brands like CRBN, Legacy, and 6.0 started pushing paddles that could spin the ball like crazy while still giving you good control. But the paddle wars were just getting started. By 2023 and 2024, thermoforming entered the scene, and this was a huge shift.
Now let's break this down clearly. What is thermoforming? Instead of gluing paddle parts together, brands started using heat and pressure to mold the entire paddle as a single piece, kind of like baking a cake instead of layering ingredients. This made the paddle stiffer, more powerful, and more durable. But more importantly, it let the paddle respond consistently across the whole surface, not just in the sweet spot. That meant fewer dead zones, more pop, and longer-lasting spin performance. If you've ever hit near the edge of a traditional paddle and felt a dead thud, thermoforming fixes that. By late 2024, top paddles had raw carbon surfaces, thermoformed unibody construction, foam-injected edges for shock absorption. And now, in 2025, we've taken those breakthroughs and cranked them to 11.
All right, so now that we know how paddle tech got here, let's talk about what's actually new in 2025. This year, brands didn't just copy what worked in 2024. They're pushing the envelope with smarter materials, better construction, and a whole new level of customization. Let's break down the big ones.
1. Zoned thermoforming. Remember how we said thermoforming made the paddle stiff and powerful? In 2025, some brands are getting surgical about it. We now have something called zoned thermoforming. That means manufacturers can control how stiff or flexible different parts of the paddle are. More flex near the edges for touch, more stiffness in the center for power. Think of it like having two paddles in one, soft hands when you need resets, and raw power when you're driving or countering. Brands like Legacy Pro, Vatic Pro, and 6.0 are leading the charge here.
Second, adaptive foam-injected perimeters. Foam-injected edges used to be just foam. One layer, one density. Now, we've got multi-density foam and even compression-reactive materials. Let me explain. Imagine you're catching a soft dink. The paddle absorbs the hit, dampens vibration, and helps you control the ball.
3. New core materials. The core is the heart of your paddle, and in 2025, the heart just got smarter. Brands are rolling out new cores like ResoCore, TorsionX, and CoreX. These use layered materials that flex in very specific ways depending on how and where the ball hits. In simple terms, more give near the edges for forgiveness, more rebound in the sweet spot for power, less vibration in your hand to reduce arm strain. It's like paddle technology is finally catching up to what tennis rackets and golf clubs have done for years.
Fourth, spin-boosting surface tech. Carbon fiber is still king, but 2025 brings new tricks to the table. Some paddles now use micro-etched surfaces. These are like tiny grooves you can barely feel, but they grab the ball like Velcro. Even the weave of the carbon matters now. 3K twill weaves give you a bit more feel and control. Unidirectional weaves offer more direct pop and spin. This is the tech that gives you that nasty cut serve or dipping topspin third shot. And yes, it's noticeable.
5. Customizable weight and balance systems. Now this is cool. Customizable paddles are taking over. Some 2025 paddles come with magnetic weight systems, swappable grip inserts, and edge tuning kits that let you shift the balance point of your paddle. You want head-heavy power? Add weight near the top? Need faster hands at the kitchen? Shift that weight down into the grip. Think of it like customizing your ride in a racing game. But now it's your paddle, and it changes how you play. This used to be pro-level modding. Now it's built in.
6. Smart paddles and sensor integration. And yes, welcome to the future. In 2025, smart paddles are real. We're talking paddles with built-in sensors that can track your swing speed, contact location, ball spin, and dwell time. That's how long the ball stays on your paddle. Some come with Bluetooth pairing to apps that show your match stats or let you analyze your practice sessions like you're reviewing game tape. It's like having a coach in your paddle handle. This tech is still early and mostly in the high-end models, but expect it to trickle down fast.
So yeah, 2025 paddles are smarter, more customizable, and more powerful than ever. But the big question is, do you need one of these? Will it actually help your game? Coming up next, who should upgrade, what to look for, and how to avoid getting fooled by flashy marketing. Let's break it down.
All right, now that we've covered the tech, let's talk about how it actually plays on the court. Because here's the deal. A paddle can sound amazing in the spec sheet, but if it doesn't perform under pressure, it's not worth your money. We tested these paddles across hundreds of points, indoor and outdoor courts, humid mornings, windy afternoons, and yes, let's break down what we felt in real-world play, shot by shot.
1. Dinks. Touch, feel, and feedback. Let's start at the kitchen. Dinks. With older paddles, if you miss the sweet spot by even an inch, the ball would either die or pop up. And both are bad news. But the best 2025 paddles, they're shockingly consistent. Thanks to zoned cores and adaptive foam edges, we found that even slightly off-center dinks stayed low and controlled. And the feedback, that subtle vibration you feel in your hand, is dialed in. You can tell exactly how clean your contact was, without the sting. That's especially helpful for players still working on soft hands. The paddle becomes a teacher. It tells you what you're doing right or wrong.
Second drives, pop, power, and spin. Now let's talk drives. This is where the new tech really shows off. When you step in and rip a third shot drive or counter attack, you can feel the pop off the face. Thermoformed paddles already had a rep for power, but the 2025 surface textures and smart cores give you both more control and more spin. It's like having a trampoline that only activates when you want it to. We saw up to 10 to 15% higher RPM and topspin shots with textured carbon surfaces versus older models, which means more dipping balls, tighter angles, and harder to read attacks. Even at the pro level, that's a real advantage.
3. Blocks and resets, stability and vibration control. Now, if you've ever faced a banger, you know how tough it is to block a 70-mile-per-hour drive without popping it up. The newer paddles with edge-injected foam and stiffer torsion cores were noticeably better at absorbing pace and keeping the ball low. Instead of bouncing back like a drum, the paddle kind of eats the pace. It stays stable in your hand, and that helps you neutralize the point. That stability is huge when you're hand battling at the kitchen line, especially in doubles. And the best part? No painful vibration. Even on a cold morning or a miss-hit, your hand doesn't take the punishment. So here's what we found. The new paddles give you more margin for error on soft shots and power plays. The spin gains are real, especially if you're already using good mechanics. And the ability to custom tune the balance and feel means you can shape your paddle to your style, not the other way around. These aren't gimmicks, they're genuine performance upgrades. And if you're playing more than once a week, you'll feel the difference. But of course, that raises the big question. Do you need one of these next-gen paddles? Or can you keep rolling with what you've got? Let's break it down by skill level, budget, and playstyle, coming up next. So, is it worth it? Should you drop $180 to $250 on one of these next-gen 2025 paddles? The short answer? It depends on who you are and how you play. Let's break it down.
If you're a beginner or rec player, if you're just starting out, playing once or twice a week, or still figuring out the difference between a dink and a drop, you don't need a 2025 paddle. In fact, it might actually work against you. Some of these new paddles are stiff and responsive, which can make it harder to control the ball when you're still learning soft hands. What to do instead? Look for a paddle that has a raw carbon face for spin, but with a softer core and lower swing weight. Something in the $100 to $150 range is perfect.
If you're an intermediate player, 3.0 to 4.0, this is where the 2025 paddles really start to shine. If you're working on topspin rolls, resetting from the transition zone, or countering speed-ups, you'll absolutely feel the benefits of zoned flex and pop. Improved spin textures, stability for blocks and resets. Your paddle can't do the work for you, but it can help your consistency and confidence in tight moments.
If you're an advanced player, 4.5 plus. If you're chasing margins, spin RPMs, attack angles, shot tolerance, these paddles are 100% worth a look. You're already making clean contact. You already know how to generate spin. These new technologies amplify what you're already doing well, and they give you more forgiveness on those tiny mishits that decide matches.
Final thought. So should you upgrade? If you're improving fast, playing more, or chasing an edge, if you're happy where you are and your current paddle gives you confidence, but if you're still using a 2019 paddle with a slick fiberglass face, it's time. Because like shoes or strings in tennis, your paddle is the one piece of gear you use every single shot. It's not just about keeping up, it's about maximizing your game. If you want to see exactly which paddles stood out after testing over 250 of them this year, check out our full mid-year review right here. We break down the best paddles by category: control, power, spin, and all-around value. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments what paddle you're using in 2025, and if you're thinking about making the switch.